And let me say this in English so you can understand what I'm saying.
I have translation.
No, I know you have translation, but I just want to make sure you get it right. There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremists and terrorists coming out of Europe because of the lack of decision-making, trying to be politically correct, or assuming that they know the Middle East and they know Islam and they know the others far better than we do. And I'm sorry, but that's pure ignorance.
Minister al-Jubeir, I'm not a European politician. What kind of advice?
Lucky you.
What kind of advice would you give to European politicians to maybe make sure that this ignorance doesn't continue?
I think there has to be balance between rights and between law enforcement. I'll give you an example. We get criticized. We were criticized in France for having supported all these extremist mosques or Islamic institutions in France for years. And we said, show me one and we'll shut it down the next day. Lots of talk, but no evidence. When the French Senate did an investigation, they discovered that less than 1% of funding for French Islamic institutions came from the Gulf. Most of it came from North Africa and Turkey, because that's where the vast majority of French Muslims came from. But for years, the charge was made that it came from Saudi Arabia and maybe other countries in the Gulf, and the fiction became reality. We have a policy in Saudi Arabia of zero tolerance for extremists. If somebody is an imam in a mosque and is preaching hate and violence, they get dismissed, reprimanded, reprogrammed, and then dismissed if it doesn't work. And we've dismissed thousands of them. And I say to people in Europe, European country, if you have, they accuse us of exporting extremist preachers, imams, they call them preachers. We say to them, show me, and if they're not a German citizen or French citizen or British citizen, deport them. That's what we would do. If they're your citizen, then stop them from preaching hate. But then they go into, well, no, we don't want to infringe on their freedom of expression. Well, it's either, if they preach, it's hatred, and if you stop them from preaching, it's, we can't do that because of freedom of expression. So then stop complaining. That's what we're up against in a number of countries.